March 11th, 2023. Well, this video, I want to address the issue of the new Biden administration budget proposal, which has been touted a little bit in the last few days, which has got to be a complete travesty. I mean, here we have a proposal of something like a $6.8 to $6.9 trillion budget, when clearly there's a idea that we need to control spending in order to control inflation, and interest rates are going up by the Fed in order to control it. Meanwhile, the fiscal policy is being proposed to spiral out of control. Now, of course, the good news is that this isn't going to actually become law, because fortunately, the Republicans won the House of Representatives, and even though their majority is slim, it's enough to pretty much means they can control the committees and prevent any kind of travesty like this from happening. I'm not even sure the Senate would really pass this. And a reconciliation bill on a party line Democrat vote can't happen because Republicans control the House, which is a good thing. On the other hand, just the fact it's being attempted is a good reason why one should not vote for not only Biden, but basically for any Democrat. This thing is asinine. I mean, it's roughly something on the round of an 18% increase over the proposal they made last time. And you look at, and yet the defense is going up 3.2%, which, given the actual inflation in the economy, means that the pay and support of our service personnel if it's kept up with inflation, will mean that the actual capability of the Defense Department would go down, is just one example. But on the other hand, we have to look at this overall thing. Look at the crazy proposals they're making on raising revenue, which are really astronomical, which I'll get into that in a little bit. By the way, if you like these videos, please give me a like to help out with the algorithm. And of course, we need to get more people subscribing. In fact, you could, point these out to other people that might be interested. I appreciate that. So, yeah, okay, so obviously, this is some attempt to play on people's ignorance and, I guess, jealousy, if nothing else, with this idea of this so-called billionaires tax, of course, which doesn't apply just to billionaires. It applies to people with $100 million of income up, which aren't all billionaires. But the point is, depending on whether they sustain that every year or did they just do it in a single year because of something, that's another point. But the main thing I would point out that we all should be concerned about how these tax laws affect the overall economy. Because all the Democrats keep ridiculing a concept called trickle down, which I don't know if anybody calls it that, but in reality, trickle down is a reality. Let's face it, if your company goes bankrupt, you're out of work. So that's why you should kind of care how it does. And if enough companies go bankrupt at the same time, well, you might not be able to find another job very easily, etc. And if the whole economy goes tilt, people on government benefits may find that even they won't be able to keep up doing what they're doing forever. So this is why this is kind of an important thing. Now, specifically, one of the things I think is probably the most asinine in it, well, one thing they propose is raising, of course, cleverly, every increase is on people that are, in a relatively small part of the population, who, by the way, are the people who pay most of the income taxes. Now, other taxes people pay, such as state taxes, is a whole different issue, and of course, the Medicare and Social Security taxes. But remember, Social Security taxes are designed for your retirement. Okay, so in other words, you're paying for a benefit you personally can expect to, if you live long enough, to receive, and of course that's a little bit different than saying that this is just to support generally other people, so to speak. I think in reality it's a throughput, of course. But I'll point out one of the really asinine things is this idea that this upper group versus capital gains will go up from 20%, according to his plan, all the way to 39.6%, which is the same as short-term gains. Now, there's some bad things that might come from that. For one thing, why hold things for a long term if you're going to pay the same taxes? it looks like there'd be a more incentive to be more active in trading and so forth. Now, for the average individual, that might actually be detrimental, so they might end up losing money by making bad trades in a dangerous market. But let's think a little bit about what the very rich might end up doing with some of the other nifty ideas they came up with. One of them is the idea that this very upper group that own most of the stocks that right now are held in a fairly stable fashion are you know, they're not just going to have to pay taxes on anything they sell. They're going to have to pay taxes on things they don't sell. Now, I don't know what happened because the assumption is it always goes up. Well, it doesn't always go up, as we've seen sometimes. And so, I mean, look at a certain bank out in Silicon Valley. Its stock certainly didn't go up today. So, but the point I'm making is that and I think a lot of people, if they look at their 401ks, if they have one, will probably see maybe they didn't go up last year either. So, that can happen, but that won't affect 401ks directly, but indirectly it might, because if the richest people have to sell their stocks in order to pay this very exorbitant capital gains tax, well, they'll also have to pay capital gains on the stocks they sell to pay the tax on the earnings they haven't taken yet. This could very well encourage the attitude that, well, why not just start trading more actively? And those people can hire professional traders that might be able to actually churn the markets and make more money that way and create more chaos in the economic system. And that might be the incentive you're giving them. Whereas right now they're just holding the stocks year to year and probably not doing much with them other than just voting the shares and running companies that they own. I mean, this is trying to kind of destabilize, I think, the economy in a way. There's also a lot of taxes that are trying to increase taxes on oil production and so-called fossil fuels. Well, I point out that of course our economy still is run on it. The electric car is available to a few people that can afford them, or decide to pay up to go in debt to buy them. But they're really not that practical right now for most people, and most people don't have them. So you're still running your vehicles on gasoline, and trucks are still being run on diesel. And these people are continuing to wage a war in this thing against the production of these essential energy products. And that's another example of it. And it just goes on, tax here and tax there all over the place. And of course, a lot more social programs and transfer payments, basically. So at any rate, I think this is a pretty, wreck the economy type budget. I mean, a lot of these things, such as increasing the corporate tax, well, I mean, again, not only that, but they also have a tax on people buying back the shares of their stock. Well, that means the market won't perform as well because, well, they won't be buying back their shares, and that means the stocks won't be going up that much. And that basically a company that decides to buy back their shares is saying that that's the most efficient thing they can actually do with the money they have at the moment. So at any rate, this is kind of this is some kind of wacky Elizabeth Warren, Bernie Sanders type policy, which sounds like the Democrat Party, except for a few stray individuals like Senator Manchin, really is a Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren type party right now. Now, they're all in the coming election in 2024, they're going to try to deceive you and tell you they're not that. But certainly in the last Congress, they definitely were voting that way. And if it wasn't for a couple of holdouts in the Senate, it would have happened. So, and a lot more would have happened too, as I point out before in these videos that I've been making. So anyhow, that's just kind of my thought on the subject, is that this is a complete travesty, and obviously the good news is we do have a Republican Congress for the moment, and let's hope we can hold it. I mean, after all, we have one very vulnerable member who's going to be leaving us soon. I don't know when. I'm kind of amazed that somebody hasn't filed a criminal charge yet if he's even half as bad as they're saying he is. But that leaves us down to 4. And in the district he's in, I wouldn't give us a lot of luck in holding that district because, well, the only reason why Republicans won in New York as much as they did was because of the governor's race and people pushing back against the high crime that's occurring in that state, among other things. But anyhow, for the moment, that's good. It won't be happening this year, I think, and we'll just have to but I don't think anybody should buy into their nonsense that their ideas are good or that they're the ones that want to protect Social Security or Medicare, because um, I mean, wrecking the entire economy is not the long-term way to protect them. Well, at any rate, I'll be wrapping this up for now. By the way, I also post this on Rumble as always, and of course the addresses of my social media accounts are in the description below. And until next time.